So, I think we've got sound a bit earlier today because the new laptop seems to pick up sound fast. So, today we are once again on my bed for one. Uh, but that is because my chair and desk is like Christmas Central. Um, so it's just absolutely covered in gifts that are still in bags and need wrapped, but I haven't done it yet because I've been busy. Um, just tons of stuff, and I just don't feel like moving it today. I hurt. So, we are going to move the camera back a little, and we're going to be crocheting today. This is ancient. Okay, this is from like the 60s. I don't think they even, like, this brand has not been made in ages. I think this was like the precursor to Red Heart. It was given to me um, by somebody. Their mother had passed away. She had left just scads of yarn, and they were like, "Hey, I need somewhere for this," and I was like, "I'll take it. If I can't use it, I will. I'll find someone who can." Some of it has been given to like the a school art supply. Um, some went to a Girl Scout camp. You know, sorry, trying to. There we go. I've already made one of the scarves that I'm making. I'm making a matching set of these, but they're not going to be completely matching because one of the, and when I say in the title scarf for, or well, title in the thing scarf for a skeleton, I mean it. It's for a plastic animal skeleton, and in this case, this one is for the vulture, who is named Statler, and this other one will be for the owl, who is named Waldorf. And the reason they have the names of those two Muppets who sit in the box seats at the opera and make fun of everything is because these two sit on top of my bookshelf and stare down at me when I'm working. So, Waldorf and Statler seems a very fitting name for them. Okay. Um, I've also got tons, tons of holiday cards that need sent out. Uh, one, two of them, I should say. It was very difficult because I was like, okay, I need to get Hanukkah cards because these people are Jewish, and I try very hard to accommodate all uh, religions and celebrations. Like I've got cards that are Yule themed. I have cards that are Christmas. I have generalized seasonal, happy holidays. I've got the Hanukkah cards because there's a lot of holidays that take place you know, in December, and so I want to ensure that I'm giving everybody what they personally celebrate. Like I've got some that are like hyper religious because they're from my family, and my family is, well, we've all discussed my family. Um, so it's like, okay, gotta get all these written. Um, Funny thing, I'm storing all of the cards that have been completed in a metal tin that chocolates came in. Um, so all of the cards, when they're sent out, are going to smell like chocolate. Um, because why not? I guess. But in other news, the kitten is still kittening. I mean, what more can you say? The kitten is run, 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 play, 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 fall over, sleep for like 30 minutes to an hour, run, 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 play, 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 play. Never stops. Does seem a little happier being in the crate in the living room than in uh, the bathroom. Um, still does not like being left alone. The minute that he is put in his crate for bedtime and, people leave him alone, he starts crying. But he's settling down pretty quick and going back to bed in his crate. Um, that or playing so hard he destroys, like, everything that's been put together in the crate for him. But, that's a kitten thing too, so we have to redo the crate every day. But that's fine. He's been cuddling with the household members. He still doesn't like when people are being tall at him. So if you're standing up, he's going to be wary and try and avoid you. Except me. He's like right at my ankles or my feet yelling because you're not holding me, you're not petting me, you're not sitting where I can climb on you. It's fine. Figaro, one of our resident cats, still doesn't like him. Hisses and growls when he comes close, but has made no moves to try and hurt him. Um, she's very wary. She watches. Like right now, he had come in my room earlier while I was getting stuff ready to start streaming, and he came in the room and she spotted him, hissed, growled. He wandered over to me and I reached down and petted him. So she turned her back on him and sulked. And I petted her until she was purring while still sulking and refusing to look at him. And, petted him at the same time. And then now she is crouched on my bed like a gargoyle, staring at the closed door, because that is the door from whence the kitten arrived. But she's okay. Lady has hissed at the kitten, growled at the kitten, but has again not tried to harm the kitten. I think this is a case of sovereign right of kittens winning out, which was my hope all along. For those who don't know what that term means, sovereign right of kittens is basically this is a baby that animals do recognize, babies of their own species generally, and do tend to be gentler with them even when they're angry at them. Aside from, male animals that are trying to push the mother back into heat or, breeding, and will just flat out murder the babies that came from a different rival male. But, domestic cats don't do that. That's like big cats and some other species. So domestic cats, if it's a kitten, they're going to, like, try to not hurt it, even if they're very unhappy about it being around. I call it the sovereign right of kittens just because the old sovereign right of the king, etc., etc., basically meant he got to get away with things that normally people wouldn't have let someone get away with because he was the king. So, it is a thing, I guess here in the U.S., where we're effectively under an oligarchic plutocracy rather than, any other cultural system, because of capitalism, the sovereign right would be extended to the celebrities, the rich. Like, you see lots of things being done that would have gotten anyone who is not rich or famous put in jail, fined heavily, etc. And it's not even a slap on the wrist for the people doing it because they're famous or rich or, you know. We are starting to try and prosecute those who have been flaunting because of their wealth and power. Um, it's slow going, but we are seeing some attempts made. So one does what one does. Okay. So this scarf that I'm making is just single stitch. I might do something fun for the next row just to give it a bit of visual interest. The one for Statler is just plain single stitch the whole way. The pattern or the coloring of the yarn is what provides the interest. Um, but I don't know. I might do something a little fancy, maybe a row of shell stitch. Well, no, not shell stitch because I'm not doing double crochet anywhere. I guess I could do a row of bubble stitch. Well, maybe. We'll see. Okay. I'd have to remember how to do bubble stitch, honestly. Um, it's not hard. It's like, okay, you've been doing single stitch. Now suddenly we're going to do like 5 double crochet, and then we're going to go right back to single stitch. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I do bubbles? Oh, right. Nobody's listening. That's fine. Let's see. Let's do. They would be very small bubble stitches. I mean, obviously, it's a very small scarf. Eh, maybe I'll do. Okay, I'm gonna do just regular crochet down the length of it again, and then I'll do something fun on the way back. So 3, 4, mainly because I've got to count how many stitches. I know how many there are supposed to be. 5, 6, 7. What are you eating, you little gremlin? 8, 9, 10. Probably dropped some like crumbs. 15. It's very hard to see crumbs and stuff because we have a high pile shag carpet. 16. And I'm so used to having like 19 hardwood or something else that that does not need vacuuming. It just needs sweeping and mopping, that I'm still struggling with the whole remembering to vacuum. But we've got a shop vac. That's what I'm used to using is a shop vac. Because normally the only messes we had that needed a vacuum were things that a shop vac was good for, like sawdust or flour. 22, 23, 24, 6, 7, 8, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 36, 37, 38, 46, 7, 8, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, excuse me, 57, 8, 60. Should be 100 stitches total when I finish. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, ooh, 60, 70, 71, 3, gotten in a big like cardboard box by now that I would put all of the gifts in, so that they're out of the way. But I just don't have one right now. All of our big boxes got used for the move. 81, 82, 83, 86, 7, coming to the end of the row. 90, 91, 2, So that was 100 stitches, just like I thought it should be. Now, I have to do a little bit of math. This will be fun. I think what I'm going to do is every third stitch. So 1, 2. Now what I'm doing is every third stitch I'm going to chain 1. So 3. Then I'm going to skip that stitch that was corresponding. So 4, 5, chain again, 6, 7. Oh, that's not nearly interesting enough. Nope, 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 pulling back out. Okay, so I'm going to need to do... pulling back so make sure I've got my turning stitch still. So I'm going to do double crochet for a little bit, because I want these holes that I'm making, and yes, that is exactly what they are, they're holes. It's a way to add visual interest to a scarf, or to any crochet project, honestly. So when I do my turning chain, we're going to chain 2 instead of 1. So 1, 2. Now we're going to loop, yarn over that one stitch, go into the next stitch, and pull through 1 and pull through 2. So we've suddenly gone from a single stitch to a double. Now we're going to do the chains. So 1, now yarn over and 1, 2. This is going to result in a visible single hole every third stitch. Again, we're adding visual interest. Also, we are reducing the weight of the scarf, because if we don't, it's just going to be so thick and dense that it's actually going to be hard to wrap around the neck of our plastic skeleton. Okay? like the one that is for Statler, I'm going to be actually using those loose yarn ends to make a small knot that will hold it in place. Because otherwise it wants to flatten itself out. It does not want to stay as a folded, or in this case twisted to fit around the neck, piece of fabric. It wants to lay flat. And so I'm going to be, because it's just a solid hunk of crochet, you know, and that's what it's going to want to do. Because the reason why knitting is tended to be the preferred method for making clothing is because knitting gives you a looser, more flowing fabric. It's gorgeous on, you know, a skirt or a dress or a body even. And so it got the association of this is for making clothes, while crochet is for things that need to be hard wearing, things that, you know, can do with some stiffness, and I mean things that need to have a visually, to be warm, honestly. I mean, you can knit very warm things, don't get me wrong. But if you want that just solid material, you're going to go for crochet more than knitting. That's why it's excellent for making plushies. I've seen knitted plushies and they don't, you can't shape the stitches the same way, or you can't shape the fabric the same way as you can with crochet, because knitting, again, it's a looser, less tight fabric, unless you're working in like the, you know, absolutely tiny needles, which is what people use for socks. Me, I prefer not using that small a needle. But you can shape crochet better, and so a crochet teddy bear, let's go with that, is not, it's going to have a more shaped form. You're not going to need to do the shaping by stuffing some areas more than others, things like that. And honestly, the seams on knitted stuff, I mean, you can knit in the round. I know you can. But a lot of knitted toys tend to be made in pieces and then sewn together, and you get, the seams don't look quite the same. They're less, I don't know, they stand out more to me. But, you know, that's because I started out with one of my first major projects that wasn't a, hey, I'm just doing a scarf so I can get an eye for these different stitches, was a plushy unicorn for my, in fact, the unicorn is what inspired me to start crocheting again. Was I saw this unicorn and I went, I want that for my niece. But, you know, the person, it was just the pattern. It wasn't a, it wasn't the doll that was being sold. You could just buy the pattern. And so it was like, well, the only way I can get this for my niece is if I make it. And so that's what I did. I set out to make it. Now, if you see how we've got those holes, kind of almost a train track look to it. And we'll go back to single crochet on the way back. I'm going to try and make certain that the single crochet is the same length as the doubles, or as the other word brain. Words are hard, which is fun because I've got work tonight, and I will be on calls all night, which, depending on call volume, could mean I have good time to get work on another crochet project that I'm working on, which of course I cannot work on stream because the person it's for sometimes watches my stream. So, of course, I don't want them knowing that I'm working on it. But it's a good project for if call volume is low, um, or if I'm, you know, doing something in which call volume is not a factor, such as acting as floor support. Um, though, believe me, call volume can definitely be a factor when you are floor support. You're not taking every call, but there's definitely some callers who demand a supervisor if call volume is particularly high and they had to wait a long time. Lately, we're having an issue where uh, three different departments that are supposed to be 24/7 coverage, just like the regular general queue, have had nobody staffing them because we are so limited on manpower, particularly on the overnight shifts. And it means that we're getting people who they need that specialty queue. They wait, 30 minutes to an hour to speak to a regular agent, only to be told, oh, we don't have anyone in that queue. Sorry, we can't help you. At which point the person gets mad, demands a supervisor, because the assumption is that, well, obviously a supervisor would be trained to do this, except the supervisors aren't. We've got supervisors that are specific to those queues, but again, overnight shift doesn't have, overnight shift has one actual manager that is scheduled for it. They're working on getting a second to give the first manager some relief, but until they get one, we only have the one manager. And those of us who act as the assistant managers, that's basically what my role is. We're not necessarily trained to deal with every department. Like, I'm not in the tech support queue, which is funny because I probably could be if they would just give me access to it, because I do a lot of the walking people through things. I was tech support before coming back to this job. I did 3-ish years as tech support for 2 different companies over the course of those. And so, tech support is not that hard for me. But I'm not trained for it officially. I don't have access to the systems I need. So even if I did get agreement to do the tech support, I couldn't do it because I don't have what I need to do it. Same with how I don't have access. There is one group that people need to talk to all the time. People always throw fit because why is this one group not 24/7? We agents and floor support definitely agree that group needs to be, because it's such a vital group. But they're not. There's talk of them bringing it to our end of things, but there's just nobody right now. So it's fun. If they did bring that group to overnights, I've already been told by some of the members of that group they would actually love to have me in that group, because I am very by the book, very procedure oriented, and that particular group has very strict procedures because they're in charge of protecting people's money. I mean, we all are. I mean, it's a bank. Of course, we're all in charge of protecting people's money, but they are okay, there's potential fraud. There's, other issues that definitely could be a problem, and so they have much stricter requirements on what they have to do, and how they have to do it. And they very much appreciate when I was on day shift, following training, if I needed to talk to them, I would already have all of the information that they would need ready to go when I reach them on the phone. you know, so I mean, me making detailed notes, that's one of the things that I keep getting praised for at work because I do make very detailed notes. But the thing is, those detailed notes are because of the tech support background. My boss at the tech support job, his rule was notes or it didn't happen. So you got very good at making certain that all your notes were there and were succinct because if something came up and they needed to go look at your notes, you better have those notes completely documented and ready for whoever might need to see them. Okay, and we're going to end up with one off stitch, but that's because we went from, we were doing it every three, so there's going to be one extra. But it worked out pretty much as I wanted with just that one oddity. So now we're going to go back to single crochet. So, and the joy of doing something like that laddering stitch that I've just done is we can just crochet directly into the hole. We don't have to pick out the individual stitch. Now I'm going to, but if you're ever doing this yourself, you're making something like this, for whatever reason, maybe you've got some plastic skeletons that you've decided, well, they look cold, and so you're making them clothing. You can do it the way I'm doing it, which is individually picking up the threads for that particular stitch and stitching into that spot, or you can just stitch into the hole. It's fine. Seriously, that's the joy of crochet. It doesn't really matter as long, if you're doing a specific pattern, it matters. But otherwise, it really doesn't. You can do what you want. And I am not following a specific pattern. I'm making it up as I go along. Because that's what I excel at. You guys will see the further I get along how those stitches stand out more and more from the rest of the fabric. Sadly, I could never do anything like this for one of my kids because he won't use crocheted or knitted items because the holes, the tiny little holes, bother him. And he always says, I don't like things with holes in them. Which, fair. I mean, he is the one who, the minute his pants get a hole, he brings them to me for patching. Which is why I taught them both to sew, so they could do that themselves. And yet, I still end up being the one to do it because, I don't know. Because I'm a sucker, probably. So you get used to it. So, now here's the question. As I get closer to the finish line on this scarf, do I want to do this? Excuse you. No. Do I want to do this in such a way that it is just a very slender but long scarf, which is honestly what I'm leaning towards, because he's an owl skeleton. He doesn't have a very big neck. He's barely got a neck at all. Unlike his partner in crime, as it were, because Statler is like practically all neck, because he's a vulture skeleton. Trying to pick up the stitch. once I finish the stream, I will get started on the cards. And because I'm me, I'm actually sitting here going, should I make a spreadsheet with all of the names and addresses so that I can keep straight who I sent it to and who I didn't? Don't be like me. You don't need a spreadsheet for everything. I have a bunch of them. I have a spreadsheet that is just like what gifts have been purchased for the kids and how much they cost. Because for me, it's easier. And of course, my other half adds to that list because, he sometimes purchases gifts for them too, which is what I want. I want us both to have it be a collaborative effort. But I also want to be able to track, here's how much we've spent, here's how much, we have. It even tracks, whether or not the items purchased online have arrived yet. And I am debating doing similarly, but having it be just for me, for other members of the household, because I really, really struggle memory-wise with, okay, what have I gotten, what have I not gotten, etc., etc. What's here, who is this for? I've got all of these gifts that are still in bags, and I know when the time comes to start wrapping, I'm going to be staring at them and going, who on earth did I get this for? Some of them are easy, like, well, I'm not going to discuss presents because certain people in my household do sometimes watch my stream. I could probably safely discuss what my kids are getting because they have flat out told me, no, we don't watch your stream. Mostly because the stuff I talk about is boring, which is fine. It's adult information, and that's fine. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like how I created a Discord server for my household, and it is, it has a channel in it called the Gimme Gimme channels, and that's the actual purpose of the Discord. We use it for other things too, but the actual purpose, the intended use, is for people to post links to, hey, I saw this thing online, I would really like it. And I use it as okay, this is where I'm getting my Christmas birthday gift ideas from. Biggest issue? My kids are very bad at adding things to it. And if I ask them, well, why haven't you added it to the list? Their response is generally, because you guys already get us what we want when we want it. We don't really have anything we need added to the list. So I'm trying to get them to understand that, this is for the things that aren't a need, they're I want. Like, okay, they tell me I need new clothes. Okay, we go out and get them new clothes. I need this thing for school. Okay, we go get that. Hey, my chair in our office is breaking down, or hey, we need a bookshelf for our office. Hey, we need a side table for our bedroom. Things like that. Those are needs, and yeah, I work to accommodate them. And yeah, sometimes they get their wants, even if it is just a want, like, oh hey, this new video game comes out on this date, can we pick it up? Okay, fine. If it's within our budget, that's fine. But the gimme gimmes are, this does not actually prove useful or necessary, but it is something that would be really nice. Like, my other half is putting Cutco knives on the list for Gimme Gimmes, because we do have some Cutco knives that I fell into the I'm a desperate college student, I need money, oh hey, here's this place that's saying they'll pay me $12 an hour effectively, because it was $12 per um, presentation of the knives, uh, or if you actually made the sale, it would be $10 of the commission price. The commission was 10% of whatever the sale price was, which was not bad when I once made an $800 sale, which, but that was a rare and few and far between. Most of my sales were within the $20 to $30 range, so 2 to $3. Um, but it was on top of the 12 an hour that you got just for the presentation. The problem was I was very bad about the presentation part, because you had to basically cold call a bunch of people to convince them to um, to let you come to their house to do the presentation. You would, whoever you presented to, you'd be like, hey, can you write down 5 names of people you think would appreciate this? And then you would go out and call those people, say, hey, I got your name from X friend of yours or X family member of yours, and they think that you would really appreciate these items I'm selling. Would you mind if I come and do a demonstration? There's no obligation to buy. Because of course there wasn't. There really wasn't. The thing was, most of the people that I was, trying to get names from would be like, I can't think of anyone. And so I would leave without any new leads. And so I mostly sold to family, because they were who, they were who I knew that I could do the demonstration for. And, they're good quality. I really wish that Cutco would move to a different business model, because they're good quality knives. Um, they're they're expensive, yeah, but it's worthwhile, especially since you get this. There's a guarantee attached where, if it's ever damaged in some way, or you need to get it resharpened, etc., you just mail it back to them, and they'll fix it for you. And got we've got the set that we got as part of my original presentation, because of course you have to have a set to demonstrate them. And we still have those, and we've a couple of times had to send them in, and they get fixed and sent back fully sharpened. Everything's corrected. At one point we sent one in that had a broken tip, and they just sent us a brand new knife. No questions about, well, how did this get broken? Nothing like that. No, they're just like, oh, broke. Okay, let's get you a new one. So I really wish they would move to a different business model that doesn't require the cold calling, the door-to-door canvassing, etc. I wish they would move to a model that is less scammy, and just be like, hey, we're going to, advertise these online. You buy them through our website. Here's some videos of the demonstrations that we do if we were to come door to door, or, however you normally present them. But, yeah. Don't buy. If you want a Cutco, just go to the website. Seriously, don't force some poor kid to go door to door, because that's what they do, is they get people who are desperate to work for them, and they make big promises, $12 an hour, but what they don't tell you is you're actually doing more than the hour for each demonstration. While, yeah, you go into the house and you do the demonstration for an hour, sure, you spend a lot more hours on the calling out, trying to find somebody who will let you come to their home. You don't get paid for the travel time, because, no. And we used a lot of gas traveling because we were at the time living in our college town, but most of the people that we were going to be demonstrating to lived in different cities, because nobody in the college town had money to buy knives, especially not knives that were like potentially $20+ each. My parents bought a pair of kitchen shears when I went and demonstrated to them, and they still have it, and they are still excellent. So, my my mother-in-law, I believe, bought pruning shears, and again, still has it, still excellent. My aunt bought some excellent knives and serving utensils. My biggest sale was to a friend of my aunt's, the poor guy. I feel so sad about this when I think about it. He was single, and he was lonely, and he was absolutely certain that all he needed to find a girlfriend or to find someone and develop a relationship that would last. That was what he wanted. He wanted a actual committed relationship. He didn't want a, fling or one night stand. No, he wanted somebody that he was going to meet and they were going to fall in love and they were going to get married. And I'm absolutely certain when he did find somebody that he became the most devoted, loving spouse ever. But the trouble was finding one. And for him it was difficult because he was short, he was balding, he had a bit of a belly, and none of those are bad things. There's nothing wrong with any of that. However, if you are also shy and socially awkward and not really good at the dating scene, you keep looking for things that will help make you more desirable. And he decided that obviously what would make him more desirable was learning how to cook, which I applaud. That is an excellent decision. You should know how to cook. You should know how to fend for yourself, if nothing else. But he decided that he was going to learn to cook. He had signed up for cooking classes, and he decided that he needed to go all out and have the absolute best tools with which to cook. Okay. This is where the Cutco comes in. Because he figured if my aunt said that these were good quality, which she knew they were good quality. She was actually who fronted me the money to get started, because that's another thing, by the way. Don't ever work for a company or a job where you have to pay to get started, okay? If there's licenses required, but you can use those licenses elsewhere, sure, pay for the license. Get your CNA, whatever you need on that. But don't ever, ever, ever work for a company that makes you buy their product so that you can demonstrate it, okay? No, it's not good. I swear, they made more from that initial $200-ish than they ever do from selling to people who buy. Anyway, so he was my biggest sale ever. I sold him, I want to say, an $800 set of kitchen utensils and knives and some of the other things, and I really honestly hope that he went out and used those things I sold him, and he found himself someone, and that they got married and lived happily ever after with him cooking all of these delicious meals for the other person. That's what I really hope happened for him, because he was very sincere. he really, really wanted to do exactly what needed to be done to provide, you know, it's just he was shy and socially awkward and not very confident in his own appearance. Which confidence in your appearance, by the way, is a huge part of finding a partner. Like being confident in not necessarily even just your appearance, but you're confident in yourself. You know, I hope that he, while doing the cooking classes, developed some self confidence and went out and found himself someone. Maybe he even met them in the cooking class. That would be wonderful. Maybe he met them at the cooking class and it turned out that they really weren't enjoying the cooking, so they hit it off great because he loved the cooking and she loved his cooking. That would be an excellent solution. But either way, you know, uh, that was my big sale, my one big sale. But my aunt had made the promise that to pay me back that 200, or to pay her back that 200-ish. The rule was I either had to give her the actual money back, with which she said, okay, you can make that money back from your sales, which I did. I managed to make, well, not necessarily from the sales, but from the presentations. I managed to make enough to pay her back and to keep us afloat for a little bit. Because this was when my partner and I were both really struggling. We had both been out of work. That was the summer that we ended up working a lot of different bizarre jobs. I did the Cutco. I worked at the Humane Society taking care of the sick cats. I worked, I was ghostwriting ad copy for actually my aunt's eBay sales, because she would go to estate sales and antique stores and junk sales and thrift stores, and she would buy honestly really, really pretty pottery and glassware and ceramic and things that were being undervalued in the store, and she knew what the actual values were because, my goodness, she had all of these catalogs and stuff that actually laid out, hey, this is this item, here's the year it was made, or the range of years in which it was being produced, here's what company made it, here's what it's worth. Also, here are any warnings such as, hey, this is made with lead, or hey, this has uranium in it. A lot of old carnival glass actually had radioactive materials. It was why it glowed. So she would have all of that information, but she did not. She was good at writing the specifics. The, hey, this is this company's production. They called it this. This is the years it was produced, etc., etc. But she didn't do a good job of writing the actual ad copy parts. And she knew that the things that would catch people's... Now, she did at least know, hey, things that catch people's eyes, rhyming, poetry, alliteration, etc. Well, she just happened to have a nephew. She was one of the first people in my family, by the way, to accept me as trans. The minute that she found out that I was presenting as male and preferred male pronouns, she switched instantly. So, love her to death. But I happened to be an English major at the time. And she's like, he's already published for poetry, which I was. I've been published twice for poetry. So maybe I can get him to write poems for these ads. And so I did. And she loved them. And she sold a lot of items that had my poetry attached to the ad. Because people like that sort of thing. And so it's why, by the way, when I first started out with Cuddle Wish Creations, I would, for every single item that I sold in the store, I would add a little blurb that was a short poem to the actual ad copy. And, you know, it helps. Believe me, if you're ever selling stuff and you're selling it online, add a little poem. If you ever need the poems written, hit me up. I do commission work for poetry. It's not expensive. Well, I should say it's not expensive depending on what you want. You want an iambic pentameter piece that is like 100 lines long. That's going to be a bit pricier than a 5-line limerick, you know? um, Even though limericks can be difficult, the rhyming scheme is hard. Um, but, you know. So, yeah, but that was one of the jobs I had. That was the summer that my partner and I got work as bounty hunters, um, which is a whole other story. There's a reason that a lot of people are like, no, no, you didn't actually do those jobs. No, I really did. It's just didn't have, you know, didn't have money, needed a way to support us, so we did what we could. Um, and in that particular summer, that was selling Petco, working for the Humane Society, writing ad copy for an eBay store, and bounty hunting. Wrong track. Trying to decide if I want to do another row or if those are even enough. I think they're even enough. What do you think? If I if I were a smart man, I would grab like a tape measure or something. But this is a doll's. It's a plastic skeleton scarf. You know, I'm not too worried. Like, this is how it's gonna look when it's on him, you know. Not too worried. So I think that I'm gonna go and get my scissors. Just gonna fold it. Yeah, it's good enough. It matches up enough. This is the way that I generally test if something matches is I fold it double and see if it lines up. Works for me. Walking away for just a minute, gonna not even bother with the be right back screen because I'm wearing pants for once. I say for once, I almost always wear pants when I'm streaming, but it's funnier to joke that I don't. Alright. My hair is being dumb. Okay. So. Now, the fun thing with crochet is when you are finishing something, finishing it off is super easy. Knitting, you have to do all these like little complicated binding things. With crochet, you pull through. You're done. Eventually, I'll have to seam that closed, but for right now, we got us a finished scarf for a skeleton. And we're going to go ahead and fold it up. Just like the one for Statler. I'm going to tie a little knot. Make it look like a little Christmas gift. Who knows? Maybe I'll put these under the twins' little Christmas tree in their room and claim its presence for the skeletons. Who knows? Maybe I won't. But that is a completed scarf. And that took us to right at 1 hour, which is about what I generally go for streams. So, alright. We managed to finish a project in an hour. I mean, it wouldn't start. It was like a row and a half. That's not bad. Okay, So I do want to thank everybody who came out for the stream tonight. Hope you guys had a lot of fun watching. Um, I'm gonna probably be doing Christmas themed stuff all this month for the crafting streams. Not necessarily just crocheting or making projects, for presents, but I will probably be doing like maybe another Christmas ornament cross stitch thing. Maybe more Christmas themed things for my skeletons, because who doesn't love a Christmas themed skeleton, right? Um, but that said, I do want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. I really do appreciate the support from people. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I hope you guys stay safe. I hope you guys take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you next time.